One, I just wanted to give you a quick recap because it's been a while of the system, the approach, the key aspects of it. Now, what you see on screen, just by way of recap, we're going through the DAX, which is one of my favorite pairs, and I give all my apprentices a list of the pairs that I like, which are my favorites. So this is a good reminder. The DAX is on there. The timeframes that I like are the 1 hour and 30 minute. Why? Because in a 1 hour time frame, you're going to get a signal about 1 to every 3 days, as you can see there. And that means that if you've got 12 to 15 windows you're scanning for 15 minutes a day, you're going to be able to do one quality trade a day, because you're going to happen to come across those 12 to 15 windows, one signal, okay, where the price is near the signal. But also the reason for the 30-minute and the 1 hour time frame, unlike shorter time frames, is that you would get bigger size trends. You see there? Look at the size of that. Look at the size that you're not going to get that on a 5-minute chart, because on a 5-minute chart, trends reverse over a shorter period of time. So you're, in a 5-minute chart, you're working incredibly hard, paying lots of commissions, trading over a lot of trades, not to get much of a return. So that's the first thing. The other things I want to remind you of is how our entry signals work. Don't forget they're based upon pattern recognition. We use Microsoft Azure's artificial intelligence. So thank you, Microsoft, for that. I've just come back from India, where a lot of our back-end pattern recognition work is done by some very clever engineers. Okay, so you've got that point. The second thing is we look at multiple indicators across multiple timeframes to see alignment and an increased probability of a move up. We're not trying to bottom pick. Nobody can do that. Okay, we were using the software out of this. Now, somebody asked me, they said, oh, if you're using software to do this, why don't you just trade it and retire at a big, fat, hefty retirement? So I thought, well, first of all, two reasons you've forgotten. First of all, we continue running the fund, and the fund continues raising to add more capital. So if you'd like to give us $1 million, 10 million, 5 million, feel free. But private investors can't. It's got to be institutional funds, because it is a hedge fund. The second is this technology which has been spun out of the hedge fund. We want to first get venture capital investment into this at a valuation of about 30 million euros, hopefully by the end of this year, and then IPO it. Typically, Google, from the time they got their first Series A venture capital investment to IPO, was about 5-6 years. So it's going to be that long, unfortunately, until we get the IPO. And then another 5 years after that, have $1 billion valuation. I said $1 billion with a B. So that's the ambition. Either the fund will have $1 billion of assets under management gradually over time. We've got to 90 million euros over the last 10 years. In the next 10 years, I hope to increase that tenfold. All the technology we've spun out from the fund will. Anyway, some more background, therefore, for you in terms of why we do what we do in the fintech arena and the financial technology arena. Let's get back to the indicator. So, pattern recognition, multiple indicators, all embodied in this. One of the very important things I want to highlight for you is this. We use machines, we use computers, because when we get a buy signal and then a sell signal like this, that was a sell signal. The human brain hates going from long positions where they've made lots of money to then a short position. It starts questioning itself. That's why a computer like this is very handy. So that sell price is listed here, as you will be familiar. The SL, or stop loss, is this yellow line up here, as you'll be familiar. Okay, this dotted line, my apprentices will know, is where we add to our winning position. It's not our profit target. If you are, however, a total beginner, then what you would look to do is have a fixed stop loss and a fixed take profit. Job done, easy, you walk away. If you're intermediate level, then what you would do is you would have your sell signal here and your trailing stop loss, and that would trail down and take you out at a profit. If you are an advanced trader, and I talk about this through the apprenticeship materials and the education and the manual, then what you would do is you would have your trailing stop loss, and you would also add to your winning position here. I'm not going to go into adding to winning positions and where its stop loss is, which happens to be there, all listed here anyway, because that's also covered in the apprentice's manual. If you're not going to be at the computer, then the trailing stop loss is taking you out. If you are going to be at the computer, then you can exit when the momentum runs out, as you saw with this green cross, which of course green relates to the buy, which was down here. So it's its own exit. There you go. If you're going to be at the computer, if you're not, the trailing stop loss would take you out. Okay, so some critical important factors when it comes to entry. We're using multiple pieces of evidence to corroborate our entry point when it comes to stop losses or taking profits. As you can see over here, we are using, whether or not we're at the computer, a trailing stop loss on the whole. And critical difference to our approach is we add to our winners, because as many of you will know, winners add to winners. But what's also important is of what are these instruments should we look at and what timeframes? Well, I list those for my apprentices. And some of you might say, well, I can't see the same instruments you're looking at. And the reason for that is you might not be using the same broker. So I cover brokers and which are my favorite instruments in all that material that you get as an apprentice in any event. Apprentices, if you're not watching this on pipspredator.com's app, Telegram app, you can find the link to it on pipspredator.com useful links. Go onto that page and you'll find it there. Equally, apprentices, you've got the WhatsApp number to contact me in case any of this you've not quite grasped. Okay, so I just want to give a quick recap and use DAX because you know I favor the DAX as an index in any event. Thank you.